the different governments of the Western world are real liberal, and what are the differences between liberal and progressist? Before going on with the presentation, remember that there is my book on sale. You will find in the description of this video the way to purchase it, and in that book you will find all the explanation you need about inflation and how it affects your wealth. Remember also to give me your like, subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. It will be very helpful. In the United States, when we talk about, and also in England, when we talk about liberal, we are really talking about the liberal idea that were shaped since some centuries, or we just talk about what we should define as progressist or progressist ideas. That's one of the questions that we will try to answer. And in order to answer this question, we start with the concept of what a liberal is. So in order to understand what a liberal is, you have to think about a socialist. The liberal is the exact opposite of a socialist. Under the socialist ideas and under many countries that are guided by a communist idea, you have the objective to redistribute wealth, you have the objective to have people equal between them, and the way to achieve these objectives is through the oppression of people. So, for a socialist, people shouldn't be or shouldn't have differences, they should be all equal. And the way to achieve it is by oppressing them in order to make them equal. In my opinion, it is a profound mistake, because I think that every society should provide to its citizens equal opportunity to success. But you have different capabilities, you have different brains. We are unfortunately, or fortunately, I would say, unfortunately for the socialists, but fortunately for the free people, we have different capabilities and we should achieve different goals. If we are oppressed, the whole society is not a free society, and it became a society where you have the limitation of freedom. That is a common characteristic of the socialist. In a socialist society, you have a lot of limitation of freedom. It depends how far they are able to go, and most of the socialist society turn out to be a sort of dictator, where people should follow the rules that somebody else that consider themselves more intelligent than the normal people impose on them. So, in order to understand what is a liberal, you have to think there's exact opposite of that. A liberal is somebody that believes that people should be free to do what they want. But when we say people should be free to do what they want, we have to understand immediately another concept. And the other concept is, what are the boundaries that should limit the freedom of people? Well, it's an easy concept to understand, and maybe sometimes it could be difficult to implement. So the boundaries should be that the freedom of people to do what they want with their life, with the economy, with their business activity, do not interfere and do not damage the freedom of others. So as long you are free to do whatever you want, as long as you do not damage the other. So imagine a company that is polluting the air that other people are breathing, or the water that other people are drinking. So in that case, you are able to establish a company that can do whatever they want, so you can do whatever you want, but you cannot damage the freedom of others or the life of others. So these represent the boundaries that should portray how could be a free society, a liberal society. Now, so what would be, so we have immediately to answer to another question. What is the role that governments should take in order to manage a liberal society? Well, the role of the government in a liberal society is to guarantee that people do not damage the other. For example, the administration of the justice, for example, to set limit and rules in order to make sure that nobody can damage the other, the life of other, or also the property of other. So here we have another important concept, the concept of private property. Under a liberal idea, the private property should be considered sacred, like life. So you cannot kill somebody, but at the same time you have to respect also the private property of other people, because it costs to other people a lot of effort in order to achieve that private property. So these are the main concepts. For example, the administration of a defense and the security of a country usually should be administered through the government, because if it would be administered through the private hands, we might have some sort of conflict of interest, and so on. So you have now the characterization of what a socialist system is, what a liberal system is, and what it should be the government to rule a liberal society. Now, if we come to the reality of how it is intended in the main English-speaking country nowadays, the concept of liberal, we have to think about the evolution of socialism and communism. And they have proven to be a failure. The socialist system have failed all throughout the world, especially the Soviet Union, but also if you think about the socialism of the 21st century in Latin America, you will see, or you will be surprised to see, that in most of the country when it has been applied, economically and also a social failure. With serious limitation of freedom. So finally, the analysis should be very easy to, or should arrive very easily to a conclusion that it represents a failure. So the progressive ideas in most cases are the evolution of old ideas that come, or a transformation of what we knew as a communist and socialist idea. So, because socialists and communists had proven themselves as a failure, they transformed, and now we have not wholly, but in part, what we know as a progressive ideas, what in US and England are defined liberal. Liberal are socialists that have transformed themselves to a progressive idea. So, in my opinion, the liberal concept should not be confused with the progressive concept. Progressive represent the evolution of what we knew as a socialist idea, which is quite different from liberal. And then if we analyze liberals in details, we will arrive to the conclusion that there are liberals that are more conservative. For example, the elected president of Argentina, Javier Milei, is pro-life, so in his idea, in his philosophy, he opposite abortion. But you can have a liberal that is pro-choice. Simply, they have different idea. One is more progressive than the other. There is not an absolute truth. So you can have liberals that are more conservative and liberals that can be more progressive, but under the idea of a free society. So you will arrive to a conclusion that most of the governments on earth will declare themselves as liberal, but in fact they are not that liberal. It doesn't mean that they are socialist regimes or communist dictators, but they are not that liberal because they portray the government as bigger and bigger and bigger to try, which is the opposite of a liberal idea. Thank you for your attention. I hope to have explained in a clear way the concept. Let me know in the commentary what you think about that. and I'm looking forward to see you in my next presentation.